Hello everybody, welcome to my third video on network programming using Python, batteries included. So today I'm going to give you guys two examples, not one. The first one is going to be an echo server using TCP. So an echo server, basically what it does is whatever you send the server simply replies back to you, and in that way, not only is the server receiving information, but the client is also receiving information. So this is super easy to do because you see TCP uses it's connection based, and so once we establish that connection between the sockets or through the socket, we can send information back and forth in both directions. So first program, let's take a look here, is the server side. So this is the server, and we're going to use command line arguments here for the for the host name and the port. So here, line 6, we're going to create the socket. Sock stream, again, is going to be TCP. And I want to be able to reuse the same port, just so that it doesn't say, it's in use still after I stop the program. I've explained this in the previous video. Then I'm going to get my host and my port. Notice I have to change the port into an integer. Okay, so sysargv1 and sysargv2 correspondingly are host and port. Then I'm going to bind to that host and port, and of course in this case, since I'm doing it on my own computer, I'm going to be using localhost. This is the number of allowed incoming connections, so 1 is fine. Now I'm going to go into a while true loop, and I'm going to wait for a connection, and when someone tries to connect to me, then this will unblock. Then I'm going to get the data that the client sends me, and then I'm going to turn it into a string from Unicode. I'm going to decode the byte string, turn it into a regular string, multiply it by 2, okay? And then I'm going to send it back. Well, now, in terms of multiplying it by 2 here, basically, that's why it's called an echo server. It's like, hello, hello, hello. Whatever you say, it'll return twice that string back. So, and I'm using send all here, which is a higher level. It's higher level than send, because in TCP, send all will ensure that all the data is finished sending. Okay, unlike send. Then, well, this connection will only close. Well, it'll never close because I'm in a while true loop. Okay, let's take a look here at the client. I create the socket. Then once I know the host and the port, which is command line arguments again, I connect to that socket. So this connect will unblock this accept here on line 14. Then I grab some input from the user, and then I send it through that socket, and that's when the receive line on line 19 will be unblocked, and then this guy sends back on line 23, and that's when this receive will be unblocked. Okay, so let's see what this looks like. Okay, let's try it out. So we'll go Python 3 TCP receive 2, and our host will be localhost, and let's try using port 5555. Remember, the biggest port you can use is 64,000 something. And now it says before accept, and now we'll go Python 3 TCP, oops, not receive, but send to, and again, same host, right? Because we're using our same machine and the same port. Now, notice here, this is now unblocked the before accept, just like before, right? It said before accept, but as soon as I connected here, right? This line here, line 8, now it says after accept. So I'm now after accept here. Let me scroll down here a bit. Okay. And so I am right there on line 16 after accept. Now, when I scroll back here, it's the client that is waiting for me to type. Okay. So right now, the client's blocking on line, oops, wrong program. The client's blocking on line 10. It's keyboard blocking, which means it's waiting for me to type something. So I can type in hello, and then server replies, hello, hello. The client program is now finished. The server program is not finished. The server program is in an infinite loop. But notice it says server replies, hello, hello. So if we go back, what does the server do once it gets this data of hello? It gets the data hello, decodes it, turns it from a byte into a string object, and then doubles it, hello, hello, and sends it back to me through the same connection. That's why I'm saying TCP is connection based. You can send information back and forth on it. And so at this point, the client program is done. Okay, so if we scroll down here, this connection's now closed. Okay. However, the server program though is still waiting here on the server program is now on before accept. Notice it's before accept. So the server program right now is waiting for another connection on line 14. So that means conceivably some other computer somewhere, okay, it doesn't have to be the same computer. I've only got one computer to demo this on for you, but could connect again to the same port, right? Doesn't have to be the same computer, client computer, could be a different client computer. And they could send, say, something like, I don't know, how, and now you send it back. And so therefore, he says, how's it going, how's it going? And then, you could say, stop. And so that's what happens, right? So every time you do this, the server doesn't care where this connection is coming from. As long as it's coming to port 5555, it'll basically take the data that comes in, double it, and send it back. And so this while true loop is doing that. Provided there is one caveat, and that is obviously that the data is less than 1 kilobyte. But text messages are not really going to be that long. So so that's my first example today of that was the whole program there, and the whole program for the client is here. Okay, very short. So the second example that I wanted to give you guys today is about round robin chat program. So let's actually open this one up. It's very similar. Now that you understand how the sending and receiving is happening, I can show you how this is going to work. So this is the next program that I have, and we'll get out of this one and we'll open up this one. And so this one is this is a round robin chat program. So it's going to look very similar. So let's take a look at the server first, and again create the socket. Same thing as before, but in the while loop. So here's one difference. Notice now that the accept is outside of the while loop. Notice in the previous program the accept was inside. That means any computer can connect to the server, send some information, and the server will send that information back to that specific client. Okay? So you imagine you could have one server and like 10 different clients sending information. The server is going to reply back to each one, doubling whatever. If they say hello, it'll be hello, hello. But it could be a whole bunch of different computers. But in this case, because my accept is outside the while true loop, that means that accept is only going to happen once. This is specifically written to only accept from one client. However, notice that in this while true loop, I'm always going to be sending back to that client. Okay, so all I'm going to do is ask for data, and then I'm going to send that data back to that connection. Notice on line 19, that connection is established outside the while true loop, which means that there's only one. Okay, and in terms of what's going on, this loop is only going to break and end if the server says bye. So if the server types in bye as the reply, then the connection is going to be closed and it's going to be over. Let's take a look at the client this time. So it's a very short, again, while true loop, and all we're going to do is we're going to ask for keyboard input, send it, and then we're going to wait to receive something. Then we're going to print out what the server says. Okay, this time it's not going to be an echo service, so it's not doubling anything, so it's specifically going to wait for information from the server. Okay, so that means the server is also going to have an input statement from keyboard, which is on line 18 up here on the server side. And then we come down here. If that server sends back bye, it's going to print server ended call and break the while true loop. So it's basically two while true loops. Let's see how this looks in terms of, okay, so let's stop this other program that was still working. And let's see what this looks like. Here we go. On the top one, let's run the server. So we'll go Python 3, TCP, receive 3, and we'll go again, localhost, and we'll use port 5555 again. And now we'll go for accept here, and Python 3, TCP send 3. These are command line arguments again. And so now, obviously, the server is waiting at this point. I'm going to send an info. And now it's the turn of the server to reply back. And it says, so server replies hello. Now the client says, oops. Okay, and now the server receives the message, and now the server can reply back. And so like this, The only issue with this, you have to understand, right, is that it's round robin. In other words, the server and the client have to take turns talking to each other. Okay? So in other words, it's not asynchronous. You can't just keep sending and have the other person sending like a usual chat program that you've probably used many times in the past would work. Now we'll get to that later. Okay, so stay tuned. That's coming in the future. But right now, what's really cool is through that one established connection we've made between the two systems, we can have a round robin back and forth, taking turns talking to each other. Okay, or sending data back and forth. This is, by the way, this system is used a lot in playing games. So turn-based games, for example, would work this way. Let's say something like checkers or chess or a battleship, anything like that, where one person has to go and then the other person has to go. This is the infrastructure for that type of a situation. So just to say here, notice now, I'm on the client, and I'm going to say bye, but notice nothing's going to end, just as client says bye. However, if the server says bye, then it prints out server says bye, but it says server ended call, and notice the program has ended and this one has ended. So the reason for that, if we go back, is that in this while true loop on the server side, if the reply that you're sending, right, here's the reply that we're sending, is bye, then the first thing we do is we send the bye, and then if it was a bye, we break. And when we break, the connection is closed. So what happens here, we say, yeah, so here, server replies bye, and then if that reply was bye, it'll print server ended call, and then we break. And so when we break the while true loop, the connection is closed. Close the socket. So that's my example for both a echo server and a round robin chat server. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time. Bye.